Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of, I was about to say New Jersey, of New York. This is season 14, episode 2. So let's get into it, y'all. We gonna get a little spicy, just a little, because this clip popped up on my timeline, and it is of Sai while she was at Us Weekly doing an interview, and this is coming by way of Queens of Bravo, so their information will be below in the description bar. But pretty much, she got asked about her friendship with Brynn, and I'm going to play the clip for you, and then we're going to discuss it and then get into the review.
I think in the first episode, she said the two of you are 100% best friends. By the end of this, still 100% best friends.
No.
No.
No, by the end of this, we are not best friends.
Not best friends.
But stay tuned to find out.
Stay tuned to find out. Was that surprising to you that this friendship shifted so much?
Yes, that was a big surprise to me.
Okay.
It was a huge surprise.
Yeah. Did it have to do with the flirting?
No.
No.
It had absolutely nothing to do with the flirting. It came out of nowhere.
Okay.
It was something completely different that you just, it's good.
Is she just not the person that you thought that she was?
Not necessarily not the person. She's a fun girl. She's a lot of fun. As you can see, she has this huge bubbly personality. She's great for going out with, but let's just say she can't hold a secret.
I think in the first episode, she said the two of you are 100% best friends.
So you just heard the audio of Sai doing an interview with Us Weekly, and shout out to Yasmin, one of my mutuals. She was the one that retweeted the clip, and that's how it popped up on my timeline. So here's my thoughts. I'm actually surprised, just like she was, because the caption of the video video that she retweeted that popped up on my timeline, she was like, Brynn still speaks very positively about Sai, so it's kind of shocking to see Sai be negative about her, but it does give way to the fact that maybe Brynn really did do something, and that's why Sai is kind of like, I'm off on you. And I actually agree with her perspective and opinion, because Brynn thus far, even though it's only been one episode, she gives very obnoxious vibes, but I'm trying to give everybody room to be themselves, kind of like how I did with Dubai. So you should check out my reviews for Real Housewives of Dubai. But I don't think I judged anybody yet harshly until we got to the end of the season. But I also try to go into each season, especially when it's a new season and a new franchise, and you really don't know people or you haven't gotten their character on the show yet, by like picking them apart or really being very harsh on judgments of them yet. So I'm trying to let the people get their feet wet. But I am kind of shocked that she was like so like quick to be like, no, we're not good. It was like, whoa. So I do feel like she probably did something, but I am interested to see like what secret did Brynn not hold. Because Brynn does give that she be flipping at the mouth, like, and then she be like, oh, I didn't mean to say that, but she meant to say it. And she even said in some of the interviews, I saw her with, I don't know if it was the Brooke Ashley's interview, y'all should check out her channel, or if it was just one of the regular Bravo interviews where she said she is like a pot stirrer. So maybe she said it to stir the pot or to get the fight going, but I don't know. But let's get into this episode, y'all. So the episode opens up and we see that the ladies are all getting ready to go to the Hamptons to Erin's. Erin invited everyone to come to the Hamptons to stay at her home because she has a home there. So when the episode like officially opens up, we see Uba pull up to Sai's house with a driver, because Uba, Jessel, and Sai are driving down to the Hamptons together. So while Uba's outside and the girls are waiting on Jessel, we see Sai come out with 8 luggage bags. Like, you see the driver help her and you see Uba help her. And I'm like, okay, girl. And Sai's whole thing is like, well, I'm a content creator and I have certain moves. I thought I overpacked. Now you tell me like, hey girl, we about to go down to the beach for 3 days, or we're going to go on a 3-day like little getaway. I will probably bring 5 outfits, like, because I'm with Sai. It's a mood. Like, maybe we might want to go to a nice little dinner. I need to pack my heels and a nice, cute little outfit. Or maybe we're, like, just going to, lounge around the town. I need a cute little outfit with some nice sneakers. I always got to bring my Crocs. I'm a Crocs girl, okay? I got to have my Crocs on if we just going to be chilling, especially if we going to the beach. I need, you got, and then on top of that, You might need jackets. You might need sweaters, jackets. You know, you might need like a pullover. You just never know. And since you're not home and you want to have everything on you. So I understand when it comes to overpacking. My parents make a joke about it all the time. When I come home, they be like, Leah, is you staying? And I'm like, no, but I need options. I need options. Okay. So I get it, but 8 bags though. 8 bags. And then it was to the point, because I think the car that they were riding in was either like an Escalade or a Tahoe, but I think it's probably an Escalade. Like it gave like Uber Black, and I think Uber Blacks are always Escalades. But with those cars, yes, they're big, but like it's also the only reason you have room is when you lay down the chairs, and they didn't lay down any chairs, so they're slamming like dress bags on top of luggage. Then Justin finally pulls up, and she got a lot of stuff, not as much as Sai, but she got stuff. And mind you, they're only going to be gone for 3 days, like probably Friday to Sunday, and they're probably only staying there for 2 nights and leaving on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. Either way, I was like, that's wild. So they finally get into the car. They had to put some of the little baggage in the front seat. And so they're riding down and they're just talking. We find out that Bryn's not coming because she's not feeling well. So she's going to be there the next day because that's what they showed in the previews. She was telling Uba, girl, I might need to get a steroid shot. I don't know what's going on. So while they're in the car, they flash to a scene of Erin at home or in the Hamptons getting her home ready. And the house is actually really nice. They bought it after, her and her husband bought it after like flipping a house that they bought. And I think she said Bushwick. And so now they have this home and the house, they showed pictures of the house beforehand. It was ugly. It was an ugly old house, but they gutted it and renovated it. And now she said it's 5 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms. And she was trying to get everything nice for the ladies. She got them a cute little night outfits with their names on it, like, you know, the moniker, the 2-piece sets. And then she's having a caviar caterer come over. Mind you, that's so bougie. Like someone who just caters caviar. And mind you, I've had caviar and I got to be in the mood for it. And I like seafood and stuff, but it don't do it for me. But the funny thing about it is that Uba, while they're in the car, calls and she's like, Erin, so like what kind of food you about to have there by the time we get there? And she's like, caviar. And Uba's like, caviar? Uba's like, just caviar. And then you hear Sai like, caviar, which to me lends to the narrative that what Erin said, that Sai was like, she was like, cheese. Like the inflections in Sai's voice when she says certain things gives a tone of like, really, girl, that's what we doing? Like she's disapproving. So when she was like caviar, like it's like, do you not like caviar? Or you just was saying that just to say it? You can tell Uba don't want it, but Uba ends up saying she's gonna go to this place called Provisions, which we find out is like a local grocery store that's in the Hamptons. And like they also have like a cute little cafe in there. So she was like, I'm gonna get me a sandwich from there because I need more than caviar. And then my thing about it was like, I was looking up how far the Hamptons is from New York City. It is 3 hours. It's 3 hours and 10 minutes. And at first, when the girls were complaining and kind of making kind of things about like caviar and like not wanting to eat what Erin was providing for them, I was like, y'all could be a little nicer. But then when I found out that it was like a 3-hour drive, I would have had the same energy, girl. Caviar and I'm in a car for 3 hours. Like, I need food. Girl, I need crackers. I need pretzels. I need chips. I mean, and my thing is like, to me, caviar is like a hors d'oeuvre. That's not really food to me like that. Unless you're going to sit there and eat a whole plate of it. And they were like trying to be cute with it. The caterer was trying to be cute because it was like on crackers, Pringles, and like a cucumber thing. Girl, where the meat? Where is the meat? I think I saw salmon. Yeah. Girl, I need more than that. And I love smoked salmon. Like I love like cold, like, you know, put a little bit of salmon on a cracker and eat it. I love it. But if I'm driving in a car for 3 hours, I need more than that. If you was going to do caviar, which like I said, is like an hors d'oeuvre to me, where was the shrimp? on a little toothpick? Where was like the pigs in the blanket on a toothpick? Where was my shrimp wrapped in bacon? A little crab wonton, something like just giving me a cracker with caviar, and I'd have been like, I'm going to provisions too. I'm getting me a sandwich, sis. I'm getting a and just what's his name? And then Aaron was like, these girls, all they want to do is eat. Like, we're gonna go to lunch at 7 or 6:30, but they got there at 4. So you say, so I've been in the car for 3 hours. All you're gonna give me is caviar, and then I gotta wait 3, maybe another 4 hours, depending on, since it's like 6 of us, well, 5 of us getting ready. I probably may not eat till like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Girl, I want food. What is wrong with you? Just because you don't like to eat don't mean I don't want to eat. So while the girls are riding in the car, they start talking about like sex, and we find out that Jessel and her husband have not had sex since the twins have been born, and it's been 2 years. And everyone's like, girl, what? Like, you really haven't had sex? And she's like, no. And then she talks about, I don't know how I feel in my body, because we end up finding out that she had a C-section. So the scar and everything, she was just like, it's not raw down there, but it feels like it's raw down there. So she's just like, yeah, like, I know we need to do it, but like, we just ain't doing it, you know? And Sai and Uber are like, girl, what? Uber is like, I thought the point of getting married is y'all could get laid whenever. Like, what's going on? And Sai is like, girl, you got cobwebs down there. But then we find out that they're doing other things. They're just not doing like sex. And that is weird to me. But I also understand, like, I mean, I don't have kids, but I would feel like your life will be extremely hectic with two little babies, and they're twins, and it's a lot going on. You had a C-section, like, you're trying to reroute and get your life back to where it is, or find a sense of balance to be like, let's get it in. I mean, it, like, for some couples they can do it, but maybe they just haven't found their rhythm yet. So they flash back to Aaron's house. We find out that, what's her name? Jenna has a home there already. So she pulls up in this really nice, like, blue Cadillac. I think that's what they said, or I think it's a Cadillac. Nice blue car. And we find out that she has a place, but her place isn't as big as Aaron. It's a lot smaller. And she's a little uncomfortable. Because she's like, I like one-on-one interactions do better for me than like groups. So she's like, I get self-conscious, and then I'm like, I don't know if I don't know. And I feel like that's understandable. And Jenna is awkward, so I get it. You probably would do like one thing and then feel like, oh my God, everyone is judging me, when you don't really even know if people are judging you. They might even think what you did wasn't even that big of a deal, but then you start to overthink, and then you start to like, go into yourself. And that's what she kind of said. She kind of goes into herself. So she's just like, I really just don't know. So the girls finally like pull up to Aaron's house. Sai gives Aaron the toilet paper, because Sai ends up bringing her own toilet paper, which I ain't mad, but it could come off kind of offensive, because like, it's like, do you not think she would have good toilet paper? Because good toilet paper ain't cheap, and Aaron don't look like she cheap. But I also understand, like, girl, I will never wipe my butt with one ply ever again. Same. I am a 3. I'm a 2 and a 3 kind of one ply girl. I need cushion. Okay, I need cushion. So like I said, all the girls got in there, and everyone's talking about the caviar. You see Sai being like, girl, are you low budget? Because why is there caviar on a Pringle? But we did see Jenna try it, and she said it wasn't that bad. She says it's not no, I think she said no, not good, or something like that. Pretty much saying it was straight. It was all right. It was straight, It's straight. It's whatever. You know what I mean? So, the girls are getting their rooms. Jessel really didn't like her room. She was just like, Uba got a mirror. Like, Sai's bed is bigger and has closet space. Her and Jenna's rooms are the best. And then you got me. And I didn't think her room was that bad. It was clearly a child's room. I think the only gripe that I could kind of go along with her, if it were me, would, like, the bed didn't look as big as everybody else's. Like, girl, if I sleep on a queen, I want to sleep on a queen when I go out on vacation. And the bed was given kind of like a full, or maybe 2 twin beds pushed together. It looks smaller than everybody else's. But everyone's putting their stuff away, and you finally see The ladies sit down in the living room area and they're sitting down, and we find out that Uba is going to Provisions. She said, girl, I'm gonna go get me a sandwich. I'm hungry. I don't just want caviar. I'm gonna go get me a sandwich. So she leaves, and then it's just Jessel, Aaron, Jenna, and Sai. So while they're there, they talk to Jenna about her house that she let us know that she has in the Hamptons. Jenna's like, I haven't been there in a while since her mom passed away, because that was my mom's home while she was sick. And we end up finding out that her mom, unfortunately, had passed away maybe a month and a week ago. So she's talking to the ladies about it, and everyone's like, dang, girl, I'm sorry about that. And then Sai asked the mom, were y'all close? And she was like, not at all. And you saw everyone kind of be like, oh, okay. And so we ended up finding out that her mom got sick. She was sick. When they found out she was sick, she was it was 8 months. The first couple of months she was good. And then the last 2 months she just went downhill with her sickness. And then ultimately she passed away. And so when she passed away, Jenna was like, I just kind of left, because that was hers, and it's just she hasn't went through and sift through the stuff and put things away and stuff like that. So she was just like, yeah, it's different. So when she tells them she's not that close to her mom, we find out that her mom later in life was diagnosed with Asperger's. And if you don't know what that is, it is a autistic disorder, or it's a part of let me read the definition. It says Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism spectrum disorder. It is a developmental disorder. Young people with Asperger's syndrome have a difficult time relating to others socially, and their behavior and thinking patterns can be rigid and repetitive. So when I think of Asperger's, I always think of people just being extremely socially awkward. And I went to high school with someone that we all felt was he had to have it, because he just did not get social cues. And then even when you were trying to relate to him or get to know him, it was very hard for him to understand why you wanted to get to know him. It was just difficult for him to understand us, and it was difficult for us to understand him. But I was actually surprised when she said her mom had Asperger's, because it's oftentimes the perspective that is given to us is a parent taking care of a child that is autistic. It's never a child being taken care of a parent that is autistic, or growing up being raised by someone who is autistic. And so I was just like, oh, that's a very interesting perspective. And I've never seen it before. So she was talking about how her mom was very cold and would say things that would cut you, really be mean, but you'd be like, why would you do that? So when she said she got diagnosed with Asperger's later in life, she was like, it made sense about why she would say certain things and why it was hard for them to get close. And she was like, that's why she loved Jessel's mom. And they flashed back to that scene because she was so excited. She was and I felt bad for her, because I was just like, dang, in that moment, you kind of could not having this perspective that her and her mom didn't have that relationship. If you would have just saw Jessel's mom and Jenna together, it just seemed your friends meeting your parents, and she was hugging on the lady a lot. And you know how some people be like, oh, I wish this was my mom. But now with this context of how she and her mom was, it's kind of sad, because when she said, oh, girl, could you be my mom? And even when she said, this is the most attention I've ever gotten from someone who's a mother figure. And it's dang, you really didn't have that. And she probably wanted that and misses that. And that's sad. That really, and like Aaron said, you can kind of see why Jenna is the way she is when it comes to being awkward, and sometimes she goes inward, because probably as a kid, when you're having a parent that is very cold and can probably be mean at times, it's you have to figure out, you start to probably question yourself and be damn, am I the problem? Am I doing something? And you probably become very overcritical of yourself, and about how you move and stuff like that. So, and maybe that's probably why she likes fashion, because a lot of people who are very expressive or feel like they can express themselves may express themselves throughout clothing. So I was like, maybe that. So they then get on the topic because because in the car when Uba, Jessel, and Aaron were not Aaron, Uba, Jessel, and Sai were going to Aaron's house, they brought up about her wearing lingerie to get her in the mood to have sex. And Sai brings it up, and I was like, well, girl, I don't think Sai should bring it up because I'm like, this is kind of a touchy like subject. It deals with like body image and insecurities. Like, there was no need for you to bring it up. So they were all like, girl, we're going to get you lingerie. We find out that Jenna brought out lingerie. Like, she bought everybody lingerie. And so, Jessel ends up telling Aaron, like, yeah, we haven't had sex. Like, we haven't had sex. And Aaron is shocked because she liked to have sex with her man. So she's just like, y'all really ain't had sex? Why aren't you having sex? Like, what's going on? What's going on? So you see Jenna give the girls their lingerie. You have, like, for Aaron, it was like a cute little 2-piece outfit. Size was all black with, like, you know, the lace. And then you have what she gave to Jessel. Jessel's was ugly. I'm sorry. That was not a cute. That Jessel's is ugly. I agree with her on that. Like, everybody else got very nice, like, muted tones. Because when I think of lingerie, I think of, like, playful lingerie, but that to me is like very like frilly and lacy, and it's like pinks and purples and blues, and like maybe you might throw a little peachy color in there. And then you have what she was giving them, which was like silk lingerie. I always think looks good in like dark colors, so like dark green, black, that like champagne kind of color that she gave to Aaron. Like, and even what Uba had on hers was a cute little, like, I was like, those are cute. What she gave her, it did kind of look like a Christmas tree. I said, oh, that is kind of ugly. And Jessel was like, really? You thought, and that's the thing, lingerie is personal in my belief, because it's dealing with body. It's like some people aren't comfortable with their bodies. Like, yeah, girl, you probably should have asked them, like, what kind of lingerie do you like before taking it upon yourself to be like, oh, I went to the lingerie store and my friends looked at your, like, you know, Instagrams and this is what they got. Because now the girl's already in her head about her body. She's like, do they think I look like this? And do I give off this energy? Because I feel like I give off sexy fun. And that's what Jessel kept saying. And she was like, this? And then Sai and them were like, that's pretty. Knowing good and well, they knew that thing was ugly. They knew it was ugly. And even Jenna was like, because Sai was like, well, not Sai. Jessel was like, I'm like so covered up. And Jenna was like, no, I think I have you beat. And even Jenna's was nice. It may have been all covered, but it gave like sensual. What she gave Jessel looked cheap. I was like, oh, girl. So we find out that Provisions is closed. I don't know why Uba didn't Google, like, you got a compass with you on your phone, but you think to use Google and see if Provisions was still open. So she gets the Provisions and it's closed, and she calls the girls. So we find out that the girls are going to this restaurant that's in the Hamptons. So everyone's trying to get ready. The girls are getting ready to go out, and we see everyone's like, you know, in their outfits. Jessel has on this cute little outfit, but I think it has Alexander Wang on it. I don't know, somewhere on the back. And then she was about to grab her Balenciaga bag that was black as well, I guess, to go with it because the colors go together. And you see Jenna being like, you can't do that. And Jessel's like, why not? Like, I can't mix labels. And Jenna's like, no. Like, so Jessel's like, I would be a fashion victim. So then in the confessional, Jenna's like, Jessel is a fashion publicist. Like, come on, girl. And I'm like, that has never made sense to me. Why can't I mix them? If I got on a Balenciaga shirt and I decide to put on Fendi pants or like Tommy Hilfiger pants, I don't know. I bought it. Why can't I mix it together? And it didn't even look like the labels were big. I was like, is Jessel gonna turn around and I'm gonna see a big Alexander Wang thing on her back of her shirt? Or does the purse say Balenciaga on it? I don't know. But either way, even if it did, she's allowed to wear it. Like, girl, if I bought it, I'm putting it on. I was just like, Jenna, go somewhere. Go wear khaki pants. Calm down. So They sit down to they go to they finally get to the restaurant. They sit down. Uber is kind of a little too much twerking. I said, girl, you doing a lot. Calm down. So they sit down in the restaurant, and it's a nice restaurant. They're eating, and so they start asking about relationships, and they ask Jenna, like, no, I think Jessel asked Jenna, like, when did you know that, like, you were a lesbian? Like, when did you know? And Jenna said something about, like, she had a friend who was a lesbian, and they went out on a date together, and she was like, what is it really like to be with a woman? And it did something to her. It got her warm between her legs, and she was just kind of like, she was so turned on by it that she was kind of questioning herself, as they were like, did you kiss your friend? And she was like, no, we were in public. But then she started having dreams, I guess, about her friend, and then she had eventually like acted upon it. She was just kind of like, I was 40 years old, I had a great job, I had my son, and I wasn't happy, and I just made the decision, I don't want another 40 years of me being unhappy. And that's true, girl. Live your life. Live it. Live it. So she said, so then all the girls are like, well, when did you like come out? Like, did you? And she was like, when I was out, like I think she ended up saying when they outed me. And everyone's like, what do you mean? And she ends up saying that the New York Times, unfortunately, grossly outed her. Like, I guess someone saw her and her girlfriend out and about. She was like, we were just talking, but I guess whoever saw them could confirm that like it was something between them. And she got called by J. Crew's HR team, and they was like, girl, they on the phone, tell what you want me to tell them. And so she said confirm, and then they ran the story that she was gay, and she was just kind of like, nobody knew. She said, I had only started acting upon these urges or like my true feelings for 3 weeks, and then here goes, I'm out. She was like, everyone else kind of just, they welcomed me openly except my mom. And I was like, ooh, that also lends to the issues y'all got. Dang. And so Jenna ends up saying, like, I didn't know, like, women could be gay. And everyone at the table was like, what do you mean? And she was like, the only person I had was Billie Jean. I think she said Billie Jean King or something like that. But she's a tennis player. And she was kind of surprised that they didn't know who she was. But then I was like, I didn't know who the lady was. I didn't know who the lady was either. I was like, Billie Jean King. I said, because the only one I know is Billie Jean. It's not my love. She just, that's Michael. That's all I know. I don't know that lady. So I said, oh, okay. So she was like out, I guess, during the time in her career playing tennis. So I was just like, oh, okay. And so they asked her, like, do you have a girlfriend? And she was like, yeah. And they were like, are we ever going to meet her? And she pretty much said no. And a couple of people at the table, more specifically, Side was like, well, you know my husband. Why can't we know your girlfriend? And that is kind of weird. That is kind of weird. And the reason why I say it's weird is you're on this show. So if you did not want to share your life, I wouldn't be on this show. I get respecting your partner's privacy if they don't no longer want to be a part of it, but I wouldn't expect you to be on this show if you weren't going to showcase that aspect of your life. But I also can understand the trauma of being publicly outed without your consent and having everyone say things about you and then getting a negative reaction from your parents to where you're just kind of like, I'm gonna hold something close to my chest. This, I care about this person. I'm gonna hold this close to my chest. But I can understand everyone else kind of being like, well, why not? If we're supposed to be friends. And maybe you just gotta, maybe they haven't built, I think Aaron says Jenna is new to the friend group. So it's probably gonna take a minute before Jenna, trusts everybody to a certain extent where she feels comfortable probably sharing that aspect of her life. So next thing you know, they get on the topic about Jessel not being like intimate with her husband and all that stuff, and we end up finding out that her and P only they were friends. She was like, we were friends. I didn't really see him that way. I thought he was cool. she's like, they ended up showing a picture of them in 2013, and she basically was like, well, I was moving out of my place, he was getting kicked out of his place because he was having so many parties with his friends and stuff like that, and then he just came up with the idea like, hey, we should move in and kick it. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And so she was like, we were like, I was dating other people, he was dating other people, all the while like he had feelings for me. And she was like, it wasn't until my mom pulled me aside, was like, girl, he is madly in love with you, what's wrong with you? And so they ended up like hitting it off. They got together, and then she explains about how like IVF happened. And the crazy thing is like her parents didn't know she did IVF. Like she was like, she was like, I hate that question of when people ask me about having kids, because one of them were like, well, did y'all have a lot of like, sex before y'all had the babies? And she was like, yeah, but that constant question of when are y'all gonna have kids, y'all are married now, when are you gonna have kids? And she was like, it took us 7 years. And she was like, I did IVF. And she was like, in Indian culture, it's very like there's rules to things, and you don't really share a lot of those aspects. And she was like, I didn't want my family to feel like there was something wrong with me. It's like very taboo. And then it turns into gossip about like, why are you not having kids? Is there something wrong and stuff like that? Which sucks, because ultimately it's your body and your decision. If you want to have kids, have them. If you don't want to have them, don't have them. And there's nothing wrong with you not being able to conceive. There's nothing wrong with your body. Like, it's just like our bodies may not be meant for you to like carry. Just because you have like a uterus and ovaries, all of that stuff does not mean it's meant to have children in it. Because there's a lot of people out here who shouldn't be parents. A lot of them, okay? But, she was like, her mom doesn't even know they did IVF. I said, well, I guess she know now. So while they're sitting at the table, one of them was like, I think it was Uba or somebody was like, I got to use the bathroom. And Aaron was like, oh, I'll come with you. So it was Aaron, Sai, and Uba that go downstairs to the bathroom, because Aaron was like, I think the bathroom, to get to the bathroom is tricky. You got to take the elevator. So they get to the bathroom. Uba walks directly into the kitchen, and they're like, what are you doing? Mind you, we find out that Jenna and Uba don't drink. I was like, lame, okay? Because anytime people are like, they don't drink, they always are like, I feel healthier, I feel better. Girl, just because you can't hold your liquor is on you. Because when Jenna was like, I don't like being hungover, then don't drink to get drunk. That's a you thing. Why are you drinking to get drunk? If you drinking to just chill and get a little buzz, that's one thing. But if you're drinking to get drunk, of course you're not going to like to drink, okay? You're dehydrating your body. And then Uba's decision not to drink was pretty much like, girl, she took it too far. And I can see that, because Uba she probably didn't know when to stop when she was drunk. Because at first I thought she was, like, when I saw the clip of them going into the kitchen, I was like, is she drunk? But then finding out she wasn't drunk, I said, girl, you're doing a lot. So she goes into the kitchen. Sai and Aaron are like, girl, no, like, come back. The cook people are looking at her like, okay. And then, as they're getting onto the elevator to go back up to their table, you see the pantry to the, like, the food. She's like trying to steal a can of coconut milk, because she was like, you add it to your beans. And so Aaron is like, girl, put that back. But she brings it all the way up to the table. And Jessel was like, where did you get this? She said, from the pantry. I'm going to take it. And Jessel was like, put that here, and I don't want to be a part of it. Then Aaron is like mortified that like this is happening. And Uba's like, I'm taking it with me. They're not going to miss a can of coconut milk. I said, first of all, you're not doing their inventory. And either way, don't be stealing from people, lady. Go put that back. So they ended up giving it to the waitress to take back. Because why? So they finally get home. Everybody tries on their lingerie. Uba and Jessel are the only two that aren't happy with their lingerie. Uba wears it, and she's like, it's giving granny, and I don't like it. Same thing that Jessel said. And she wears it, but then Uba kind of reroutes her energy. She's like, I kind of like it. She ends up hugging Jenna, saying thank you for it. But then she goes back upstairs and she puts on her other pajamas. Like, she puts on the pajamas that she brought. Then you have Jessel. Jessel already has body issues, and then seeing that the dress was in a large, and I mean this with all respect, girl. Jessel, it's a large, but the large was not, it wasn't falling off of you. I think, sis, you are in a large or a medium to a large, okay? So you're going to have to deal with how you feel about that. So she's walking around and she don't like it. She was like, I look like a grandma. My outfits, it's just, you could tell she didn't feel comfortable. And she kept voicing how much she hated the outfit. And I was just kind of like, at first, I got where she was coming from, but the more she kept saying it, it was like, okay, girl, we get it. You hate it. Why not do what Uba did and change into something that's more comfortable for you and just let Jenna know, thank you for the gift, but girl, it's not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea. So she kept saying it, and you could tell that everyone else was kind of like, girl. And they were trying to be like, girl, it's cute. Knowing good and well, it wasn't cute on her. Like, it really wasn't flattering on her. I think the color wasn't cute. Altogether, the lingerie wasn't cute. But she was making a big deal when she should have just like took it off like Uba did and went upstairs, because Jenna kind of was uncomfortable. You could tell in her face, and she was like, Jessel was coming off rude, and then Aaron was like, she's coming off like a bitch, and then Sai was like, it's not that deep, girl, and even she thought she was doing too much. So I do feel like Jessel has body issues, and she told us that before, and I feel like the 8 ladies could have been nicer to her about it, but I also feel like Jessel, at some point, you constantly saying you don't like the outfit, you should have just took it off like Uba did and put on whatever you brought and called it a day and thanked the lady, but was just like, it's not my cup of tea, sis. But the episode ends there. I'm interested to see what's happening next episode, because they're going to confront Jessel about her outfit. But yeah, I feel like Jenna should have said something if she had an issue, but hey, that's her and I'm me. But that's it, y'all. That is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and hop down in them comments below.